Welcome to Buddhism and Life, where we dive deep into the ancient wisdom of Buddhism and explore how its teachings can transform our modern lives. In today's fast-paced, achievement-driven world, we're constantly told that happiness is just around the corner. Once I get that promotion, once I buy that car, once I go on that dream vacation. But what if I told you that the very things you're chasing might be the reason you're feeling unfulfilled? This video is packed with insights that could change the way you view happiness. We'll uncover the profound teachings of the Buddha and how mindfulness, gratitude, and compassion can lead you to a deeper sense of fulfillment. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll have a clearer understanding of how to stop the endless chase for external happiness and start living in the peace and joy of the present moment. You don't want to miss it. Keep watching till the end. If you haven't yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join the Buddhism and Life community, where wisdom meets everyday living. Leave a comment below, share your thoughts, and tell us, what simple joy in your life do you appreciate the most? Now, let's dive into the main content of the 12 simple things we need to do to rediscover joy in our lives in today's modern world. Thing 1. The endless chase for external happiness. In the rush of our modern lives, we are taught by society that happiness is something we must pursue relentlessly. We're told it's found in the next promotion, the newest gadget, or that dream vacation we've always wanted. How often have you heard someone, or even thought to yourself, once I get that new car, I'll finally be happy? It's as if happiness is this elusive thing, always just out of reach. You get what you wanted, and for a moment, there's joy, but it's fleeting. The satisfaction doesn't last. So, we immediately start searching for the next thing to chase. This cycle of pursuit becomes endless. But when will it ever stop? We achieve more and more, yet we feel just as unfulfilled, like we're always running in circles, chasing something that's never truly attained. This is where Buddhism offers a profound shift in perspective. True happiness, according to the Buddha, does not lie in external achievements or acquisitions. The Buddhist view is that we must shift our focus inward, instead of looking to the world around us for validation or fulfillment. We are encouraged to turn inward and cultivate a deep sense of contentment from within. It's not about what we get or achieve, it's about how we experience each moment. When we stop chasing the next milestone and instead begin to truly appreciate what we already have, we discover a type of happiness that is grounded in the present. Buddhism teaches mindfulness as the way to unlock this happiness, by being fully present in each moment. When we start to savor the small, everyday experiences, like the sound of birds singing in the morning or the warmth of sunlight on our skin, we begin to realize that joy was never out of reach. It was always there, waiting for us to notice it. Thing 2. The power of mindfulness. Mindfulness is one of the most profound teachings in Buddhism. It's a practice that encourages us to be fully present in the moment, to experience life with awareness and appreciation. In a world that pushes us to constantly do more, achieve more, and consume more, mindfulness is the antidote to the constant striving. Mindfulness isn't about doing, it's about being. It's not about achieving some grand goal or checking off tasks on a list. It's about slowing down enough to experience life as it is. In mindfulness, we stop rushing and start noticing. We begin to appreciate the small moments that we usually overlook in our busy lives. The laughter of a child. The sound of the wind rustling through the trees. The way the light changes as the day transitions to night. For me personally, mindfulness has been a transformative practice. I was once someone who was always focused on what was next. My mind was constantly planning, evaluating, and striving for the next goal. But over time, I began to realize that true peace doesn't come from a distant achievement. It comes from fully experiencing the present moment. I remember sitting quietly with a cup of tea, watching the steam rise and feeling the warmth of the cup in my hands. It was a simple moment, but it was profound. I was fully present, and in that stillness, I found peace. It's these small moments, so often dismissed as trivial, that are, in fact, the ones that nourish the soul. Thing 3. Embracing impermanence. One of the most powerful teachings in Buddhism is the concept of impermanence. Everything in life, from the smallest joy to the greatest sorrow, is temporary. This truth is not meant to be depressing, it's liberating. When we embrace impermanence, we are reminded that nothing is permanent, not even our struggles or our suffering. This understanding helps us to let go of attachment. Often, we cling to ideas of how things should be, how life should look, or how we should feel. This attachment can create suffering because life is constantly changing. And when we resist that change, we create inner turmoil. But by embracing impermanence, we release that resistance. We learn to accept life as it is, moment by moment, with all its ups and downs. I remember a particularly challenging time in my life when I was facing a personal crisis. I felt lost and uncertain, overwhelmed by circumstances I couldn't control. But when I turned to the teachings of Buddhism, I found comfort in the understanding of impermanence. I realized that this difficult moment, like everything else, would pass. Just as the seasons change, so too would this hardship. This insight allowed me to find peace in the midst of turmoil. Instead of clinging to the way I thought things should be, I accepted life as it was, with all its imperfection and transience. And in that acceptance, I found freedom. Thing 4. Finding joy in nature. In our daily rush, we often forget the simple pleasures nature provides. We're constantly on the move, hurrying to one place or another, focused on our to-do lists, our goals, and our responsibilities. But nature offers us something that no amount of work or acquisition can provide: moments of stillness, beauty, and serenity. Nature has the incredible ability to ground us and bring us back to the present. Take a moment to imagine standing in a garden, breathing in the fresh air, listening to the birds sing, feeling the cool breeze on your skin. How often do we pause to truly notice the small, exquisite details of the natural world? When was the last time you really took in the beauty of a flower or the scent of rain? Buddhism teaches us that by being present with nature, we can reconnect with our own inner peace. Nature has a way of reminding us of the simplicity of life, of the small, beautiful moments that surround us all the time. I remember walking in a park one day, feeling stressed and overwhelmed by the demands of work. I decided to pause, take a deep breath, and simply observe my surroundings. I noticed the trees, how the sunlight filtered through the leaves, and the soft rustling of the leaves in the wind. I felt the coolness of the breeze on my face, and for the first time that day, I truly felt at peace. Nature has a way of offering us quiet moments of joy and beauty, if only we take the time to notice. Thing 5. Being present with loved ones. In today's world, it's easy to be distracted, especially with the constant pull of technology and the demands of work. We often find ourselves physically with others, but mentally and emotionally absent. True connection becomes a rare and precious gift. But one of the simplest ways to experience joy is by being fully present with the people we care about. Imagine sitting with a loved one, putting away your phone, and truly listening, not just to their words, but to the feelings behind those words, to the emotion in their voice, to the silent spaces in between. In those moments, we foster connection, understanding, and a deep bond. It's in those moments of shared presence that we find real joy. I remember a conversation I had with my grandmother, who loved to share stories of her younger years. Instead of rushing through our time together, I chose to listen, really listen. What began as a casual conversation turned into a deeply meaningful exchange, filled with laughter, wisdom, and connection. It was in that simplicity, in that presence, that I found a deep sense of happiness and peace. We often think of happiness as something big, but sometimes, it's simply found in being present with the people we love. Thing 6. Transforming daily tasks into joyful moments. How often do we view our daily tasks as burdens? We rush through chores, trying to get them over with as quickly as possible so we can move on to something more important. But what if we approached these everyday tasks with mindfulness, with full presence? Buddhism teaches us that even the most mundane activities can be transformed into moments of peace and joy when we approach them with gratitude and awareness. Imagine washing dishes, not as a chore, but as an opportunity to be present with the warmth of the water, the feel of the dishes in your hands, and the soothing rhythm of the task. Cooking a meal can become an act of love and mindfulness, where each ingredient is appreciated and each step in the process becomes a meditation. I remember a time when I was cooking dinner after a long, exhausting day at work. I was tired, but I decided to take my time. I focused on the colors and textures of the vegetables, the smells filling the kitchen, and the act of preparing a meal for my family. Instead of rushing through it, I found myself deeply immersed in the process. And in that moment, I realized that even the most ordinary tasks can be sources of joy if we approach them with mindfulness. Thing 7. The benefits of mindfulness and gratitude. When we embrace mindfulness and practice gratitude, we begin to experience a profound shift in our lives. By focusing on the present moment, we stop worrying about the past or the future. This brings us peace, calm, and a deeper sense of fulfillment. Mindfulness helps us to appreciate what we already have, Whether it's the warmth of a hug, the peace of a quiet morning, or a simple moment of laughter with a friend. When we shift our focus from external achievements to internal contentment, we begin to feel a deep sense of joy that doesn't depend on what we acquire, but on what we experience. The more we practice gratitude, the more we realize that happiness doesn't come from the outside world, it comes from within. We learn to see the beauty in the simple things and to appreciate the fleeting moments of joy that life offers us every day. Thing 8. The importance of gratitude. Gratitude is a transformative practice that helps us to recognize the richness of our lives in the present moment. In Buddhism, it's said that gratitude is a key to unlocking the door of happiness. The Buddha taught that we should be grateful not only for the good things in our lives but for everything, the challenges, the lessons, and even the difficulties. Gratitude shifts our perspective from focusing on what we lack to appreciating what we already have. One of the most powerful lessons in Buddhism comes from the story of a monk who, when faced with difficulties, chose to practice gratitude rather than complain. He was living in a small, humble hut in the forest, and every day he would sit outside, give thanks for the food he had, and meditate on the beauty of the present moment. Despite the hardships he faced, he saw the opportunity for growth and connection to the divine in every experience. A similar teaching is found in Christianity, in the concept of giving thanks in all circumstances. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 18. In both religions, the practice of gratitude teaches us to shift our mindset and open our hearts to the blessings we might otherwise overlook. The practice of gratitude allows us to cultivate a heart of contentment. No matter the situation, I encourage you to keep a gratitude journal. Each day, write down 3 things you are grateful for. They don't have to be grand gestures or major events. It could be the warmth of the sun on your face, the kindness of a stranger, or simply the fact that you woke up to another day. The small things add up, and over time, you'll find that your heart becomes more open, and your outlook on life becomes more positive. Thing 9. The power of compassion. Compassion is a central teaching in Buddhism, and it's also a core value in many religious and spiritual traditions, including Christianity. The Buddha often spoke about metta, or loving kindness, which refers to the unconditional love we can extend to ourselves and others. The act of compassion is not just about feeling sorry for someone, it's about wishing for others to be free from suffering and acting to alleviate that suffering. In Christianity, Jesus' teachings about compassion are clear. Love your neighbor as yourself. Mark chapter 12 verse 31. This is not just an external act, it's a call to cultivate an inner mindset that sees all beings as deserving of love and kindness. Compassion in both traditions is a deeply transformative force, not just for the person who receives it, but also for the one who practices it. I recall a beautiful Buddhist story that illustrates compassion. There was a woman who came to the Buddha, overwhelmed with grief over the loss of her child. The Buddha, recognizing her pain, told her to bring a mustard seed from a family that had never experienced death. She searched far and wide, but each family had known loss. In this journey, she realized that grief and loss are universal experiences. The Buddha used this moment to teach her that while suffering is part of life, compassion and understanding can heal the heart. The act of showing compassion, not just to others but to ourselves, can transform our lives. It softens the heart and allows us to see beyond ourselves. When we offer compassion to others, it lifts us as well, reminding us that we are all connected in our human experience. Thing 10. The power of forgiveness. Forgiveness is one of the most challenging yet most liberating practices in Buddhism and in Christianity. Both teachings emphasize the importance of forgiving others, not for their sake, but for our own. The Buddha taught that holding on to anger and resentment only harms the one who carries it. It creates internal suffering, tying us to the past. Forgiveness, on the other hand, frees us from that suffering. A beautiful Buddhist story about forgiveness comes from the life of the great warrior monk Bodhidharma. One day, Bodhidharma was confronted by a man who had been seeking revenge for the death of his family at the hands of an enemy. The man had been filled with hatred for years, and Bodhidharma offered him a simple but profound teaching: let go of your anger, and you will find peace. The man, realizing the truth of these words, was able to forgive and release the weight of vengeance from his heart. In Christianity, forgiveness is also central to the teachings of Jesus. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Matthew chapter 6 verse 14. This principle is not just about letting go of past grievances but also about healing the soul. Holding onto grudges can poison our hearts, whereas forgiveness cleanses the heart and opens it to love. Forgiveness doesn't mean we forget the wrongs that have been done to us. Nor does it mean that we condone the actions of others. It means letting go of the emotional burden that those wrongs have created in our hearts. Forgiving others is a gift we give to ourselves. Thing 11. Living with purpose. Living with a sense of purpose is another key teaching in Buddhism. The Buddha's path was not one of escape or withdrawal, but of living with intention and mindfulness in each action. Each moment of our lives is an opportunity to practice kindness, mindfulness, and wisdom. The purpose of life, according to the Buddha, is not to accumulate wealth or fame but to liberate ourselves from suffering and to help others do the same. In Christianity, the concept of living with purpose is also emphasized. Jesus' life was one of service to others, and his message to love your neighbor as yourself is a call to live with purpose beyond personal gain. Purpose is found in acts of love, service, and compassion. I remember hearing a story of a young man who, despite his immense wealth, felt unfulfilled. He turned to spirituality, seeking deeper meaning. Through his spiritual practice, he found that true fulfillment came not from his material success, but from his contributions to others. He dedicated his life to helping those less fortunate, and in that, he found true joy and purpose. Living with purpose means recognizing that each moment holds the potential for growth, compassion, and service, whether in small acts of kindness or in our daily responsibilities. We can infuse every action with purpose. Purpose brings a deeper meaning to life and a sense of fulfillment that is independent of external achievements. Thing 12. The art of letting go. Letting go is a key teaching in Buddhism. The Buddha taught that attachment to material possessions, to people, and even to our own identity causes suffering. We must learn to let go of our attachments in order to find peace. This doesn't mean we stop caring or stop loving, rather, it means we release our need for control over outcomes. We allow things to be as they are, without trying to force them into our own expectations. In Christianity, this teaching is reflected in the words of Jesus: "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven." Matthew chapter 6 verses 19 to 20. This speaks to the transient nature of material possessions and the lasting value of spiritual treasures. I once read the story of a monk who had spent years cultivating a beautiful garden. And one day, a storm came and destroyed everything he had grown. The monk, instead of lamenting the loss, simply smiled and said, "Everything is impermanent, and it has served its purpose." His ability to let go of the attachment to the garden was a powerful reminder that true peace comes not from holding tightly to things, but from understanding that life is constantly changing. Letting go allows us to free ourselves from the anxiety of attachment. It's not about giving up what we love, it's about learning to hold things lightly, without clinging. By doing so, we find peace, contentment, and freedom. The teachings of Buddhism, as well as many other spiritual traditions, offer timeless wisdom for cultivating a life of joy, peace, and fulfillment. By practicing mindfulness, embracing impermanence, cultivating compassion, forgiving others, and living with purpose, we can create a life that is rich in meaning and free from unnecessary suffering. Whether we are Buddhists, Christians, or follow any other faith, the core teachings remain the same: love, compassion, mindfulness, and a deep connection to the present moment. As we embark on our own spiritual journeys, let us remember that true happiness is not found in the endless chase for external achievements, but in the simplicity of the present moment, in the love we share with others, and in the peace we cultivate within ourselves. Thank you for journeying with us today through the transformative teachings of Buddhism. From the relentless chase for happiness to the power of mindfulness, we've explored how we can shift our focus inward to find contentment in the present moment. These ancient teachings, as relevant now as they've ever been, remind us that happiness is not something to attain but something to awaken within ourselves. If this video resonated with you, make sure to leave a comment and share your experience. We'd love to hear how these insights are shaping your life. And remember, in the rush of life, don't forget to pause and appreciate the simple things. If you found value in today's video, subscribe for more wisdom and insights. Together, let's embark on a path of peace, mindfulness, and true happiness. Until next time, take a deep breath, embrace the present, and live with purpose. Once again, thank you all so much for watching this video until the end. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe to the Buddhism and Life channel to support us in creating more inspiring and profound videos on Buddhist teachings. Your support motivates us to continue bringing you even better content in the future. Thank you so much.